Hi everyone, KarenLoveLee here, and today's topic is about different ways of healing and why after years and years of different types of therapy, traditional therapy, the work that I practice, teach, preach, and live by has made the biggest difference, gave me the will to live for the first time in my life, and how all the other things never had the greatest impact like this work does, but it did help me in my journey. And I was recently, someone had posted about neurofeedback, and then I asked a client of mine if she's ever tried neurofeedback, because intuitively there has been nothing that has made this much of a difference in my life, all sorts of different remedies. And when I got an opinion, which I often hear from my clients and people I talk to, they have tried everything under the sun, but nothing did it like this does it. And I call it my technology, my methods, my techniques, in terms of teaching. Like it's just all the things I've learned, including my highly clairsentient abilities, my intuition, that I wrapped up in a big, huge package that just covers so many of the bases consciously, holistically, and all the other things never really did it. So anyway, I asked my dear friend, human, associate client, Rachel, who's here with us, to what she thought about neurofeedback. So that said, hi there. Good morning, Rach.
Thank you for having me.
Oh yeah, of course, because I just casually said, have you ever tried neurofeedback? And all of a sudden you went, woo, way down the line. And I said, wait, we got to have a podcast on this, because I never expected you to have such tremendously important, vital information based on your own personal experiences. So you have the floor. Go ahead. And I'm going to ask again. So Rachel, have you ever tried neurofeedback?
I have definitely tried neurofeedback. I know I don't think I've said this on any of your podcasts, but I have Tourette syndrome. I was diagnosed when I was about 5, 6, 7, and I went to many different doctors for Tourette's as well. From all over the country. So I've been to doctors here in Los Angeles and Santa Monica, UCLA, and then I was at Mass General, which is the best in the country, and I went to the neurofeedback. To get some neurofeedback. And you know what? It helped. It really did. They work on retraining the brain to, if you have one tic, let's say you're shaking your right arm. They say, okay, let's go shake your left arm, so your body can recognize it and switch and can counteract what it's being taught. And I did that, and it helped, but what really, really, really helped is the stuff that we're working on. The things that me and you are doing together. It's way more powerful than any type of neurofeedback that I've ever experienced. And I went to special treatment for it. I was kind of a guinea pig. They wanted to try something new, so they took somebody like me, who doesn't just have Tourette's. I have, significant allergies, and my immune system is completely enhanced. And so they took somebody like me and tried it out to see if it would work, because it's still very new in trial. But the stuff that we're working on is kind of way more enhanced than anything I've ever experienced in neurofeedback.
Okay.
Very similar.
Yes, because I remember I've heard of neurofeedback, and I did a little bit of research on it, but I just didn't feel it. I'm like, that's just not, and I'm just going on my own experiences and what worked for me. And but Mass General, that is in Massachusetts, right? That is in Boston.
It is, yes. It is one of the best hospitals people fly to all across the country to go visit. So people in my program aren't locals. They would fly in from across the country to do this 6 to 8 week treatment program. And it's interesting because I'd never heard of neurofeedback, so I didn't know what it did. And it was a very interesting program. I learned a couple of things through it, but they only do it from the physical aspect. And I believe that physical, spiritual, emotional all tie together. And so they don't kind of see the other two. And in order for it to work, it has to be all three: physical, spiritual, and emotional. And only doing physical, it can help, but it can't really fix it, and it can't really retrain the brain fully to reprogram it. So I think, traditional medicine just focuses on one, and the stuff that we work on focuses on all of it to help try to retrain the brain.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Only as myself and I have been one of the worst case studies. But you now have taken that title over, because when you came to me, you everything was dying. Your body was dying. It was shutting down physically. Yes. And
definitely.
Yes.
Definitely shutting down. And my twitches and my tics were off the charts, because my tics are way more when I'm under any type of stress. And the more relaxed I get, the less tics I have. And I still struggle with Tourette's. It's better than it was when I was younger, but it's something that if I don't constantly work on de-stressing, then I'm going to be ticking as an adult, and that's way worse and more embarrassing. And it's painful. If you're ticking constantly and your body is twitching and your muscles are contracting, it can be quite painful. And that's not something I want to deal with as a 34-year-old. It's more of a kid's type issue. And a lot of people outgrow it. The majority of people outgrow it. They don't still have when they're 34. So when I was still coming to you and we were beginning, I was twitching like crazy. And I would control it the best I could when I was out in public, but at home, constantly twitching. And, the more I work on myself, I haven't even noticed me twitching at all.
No.
Since I've been working with you.
That's right.
If I really were to think about it, I'm like, man, I really haven't done any twitching in a really long time. Thank you for bringing that up, because now I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, exactly, because, I had just all along been noticing the radical healing, change, and transformation. It's really transformation of when you first started, and it was crucial, and how much healthier you are mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, in your body. When you were telling me about all the ailments you were going through in your body, I was thinking, oh my gosh, for 34, for you not to be able to be using your body to, have fun and be healthy and move around, that's very frightening. Because I know that, my body gave out finally after my sister died and I couldn't move. I tried to do a dance show. My friend had asked me to be part, and I remember going to rehearsal, and I literally couldn't move from fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue. I had stressed out my immune system, my autoimmune system, so drastically that I couldn't move. And then I had severe, finally the celiac hit. And I had known practically since high school that I was grossly allergic to gluten. And I denied it. I just didn't want to deal with it. I couldn't until it got to the worst point. So I understand it personally. But you had also mentioned in dealing with all of these incredibly masterful people in their field, but you also stated that while you were there, they couldn't help you. So
that's a different. Are we going into the allergies?
I don't know, but I remember you saying something where they
yes.
were, So
I also have what's called mast cells. So my body produces too many good cells. So it's kind of the opposite of cancer.
Mm-hmm.
I have so many good cells that my body, I don't hardly ever get sick with like a normal sickness. My body just attacks itself, and my autoimmune I react to the stupidest things. Spinach. Who reacts to spinach? Who goes into shock over, one piece of, salmon, So, I mean, there's all these different things. Chicken. I go into shock over chicken. Like different things like that a normal person can handle, my body can't, with the mast cell. And so I've been doctors after doctors. I went out to California. I went to all over Massachusetts. I went to the best doctor in the world, in the United States. Dr. Cam out in at Mass General. Oh boy, the best of the best. I Googled and I searched and I researched the best, and then I made an appointment. And obviously, I can get in because I have. They don't take very many patients. They say no to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he says to me, "You're way past my pay grade." I'm like, "You're the best in the world. What are you talking about?" This other all these different doctors, allergy doctors, all the best doctors in the state of Massachusetts, and that's where people fly into, to get treated at the big hospitals out here in Boston. And over and over, that's all I heard. I can't help you, but when you find out the info, come back and see me because I want to know. Like that's constantly what I heard. I can't help you. You're above my pay grade. You're above my pay. I'm like, you're the best. Why are you above? What in the world? Don't you want to figure it out? And they couldn't help me. And so it was up to me to research, things that would help me and work. And I found that it was all tied to my emotional and my mental. Am I better working with you? Yes. I don't trigger as often. Mm-hmm. I'm not fully cured, of course. But I'm still avoiding all the foods that I shouldn't eat and working on myself. And I'm hoping that in time my body can heal, because inflammation is very detrimental to our bodies. Inflammation, physically, emotionally, spiritually, all of it ties into how we feel.
Right.
So if you can start the root of the cause,
mm-hmm.
the very internal, the root, I believe that it will help to heal and fix the body.
Okay, so I know it will. I don't care what anyone says. I do believe it will in 99.999% of the time. But let's back up a minute. First of all, you haven't even really been working with me that long, and this is for the rest of your life. And then we have to go back and reprogram the unconscious mind, and that'll do it. The body is the unconscious, and meaning that anything we don't deal with unconsciously shows up as dis-ease in our bodies, right? So considering that you have not been doing this that long and had such massive, almost unbelievable results is pretty extraordinary. Correct?
Absolutely correct.
Yes.
I mean, where I was, let's say even 3-4 months ago,
mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have been here.
That's right.
And I know we talked about that in our last podcast, so I won't fully go into details, but it's a traumatic, like my will to be here is, yes, I want to have a wonderful life before I'm like, okay, can I make it till the end of the day, without wanting to give up? Can I make it till the end of the night, step
mm-hmm.
minute by minute? And today I'm really excited about, new work projects, about different relationships. My life is completely different than it was 2 or 3, 4 months ago.
Right. And we can't be 100% all the time completely healed. Right. It's impossible. Right. But so far, right. So freaking terrific. There's that. I also when they, okay, so you said that this doctor and all the doctors were saying we can't help you, that we don't have the answers. We don't know what to do with you. you're way past our pay grade. In other words, they were saying that they didn't have enough information to help you and heal you. Is that right?
Right.
It was beyond the scope of their knowledge and their experience.
Right. And that was very frustrating to hear that after doctor. And I got frustrated. I'm like, I can't go to any more doctors. Mm-hmm. They don't know anything. I have to do all the research on my own.
Exactly.
And it was very frustrating because I was going, I mean, yes, I have all of my life-saving medicine. I have my Eppies. I have my prednisone, which I've been able to switch to CBD now. Mm-hmm. I've got, Benadryl. Anything that I would need that they would give me, I already know what to do. Mm-hmm. I'm my own doctor.
Exactly.
I'm the best person that knows my body better than anybody else. And I got to the point where I'm like, forget this. I got to find another way. And even if that takes forever, I'm tired of going to doctor after doctor when they don't really know anything and they only do what's in their itty-bitty box.
Yes.
And they can't see the bigger picture. Mm-hmm. And it was overwhelmingly frustrating. And I said I've had an absolute enough. And this was not even that long ago. This was two years ago was the last doctor that I saw for any type of stuff. So even my primary doctor here is like, you need to go to an allergist. And I'm like, why? What are they going to tell me?
Yeah.
When I go to the hospital, let's say I have a trigger and I go into shock and I can't get back to it myself, mm-hmm. I can go right to the doctor or the hospital and I can say, here's how to save me. This is what you need. And they're like, wow, thank you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, exactly. I know what to do. I don't need to go to a doctor to tell me what to do anymore.
Yeah, so that's where it has helped in your experience to know and dig deeper to be your best intuitive, healer and medical guide. And that's me. That's what I had to do too.
Can I do a disclaimer, though, for people that are listening to this?
Yes.
If you're sick and you're in trouble, go to the doctor.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not saying, Yeah, exactly. Is that
people like me, if you're in shock and you're sick, you have to go to the doctor. I'm not telling you not to go to the doctor or the hospital, but for me, I know my body. I know what's going to make me healed. I'm not healed. I know what's going to save me if I'm in that situation, and it's usually I have to go to the hospital because I had to have the steroid injection, like in IV. And the regular stuff isn't that strong, fast enough. When it's in IV form, it goes right into the bloodstream. And it, doesn't hurt or affect my kidneys.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to go.
Absolutely.
And I'm okay with doing that.
Yeah, and so the disclaimer also is we're not saying to do this instead of. We're saying that our experiences lead us on our own healing journeys, and we have to really self-evaluate and see what has worked. I'm one of those people, one therapist after another since childhood, and it just didn't give me the answers. And I was so frustrated that I had no other choice but to figure it out for myself. But all the experience that I went through helped me to figure it out because I knew what did not work. I knew that we were still stopped at a certain point, and that's when I knew to dig deeper, and real science is going toward the unknown, not keeping ourselves in the box of what we do know. Keep searching for the unknown, which is the healthiest, best thing for the human brain, is to live in the unfamiliar. And so, disclaimer, I do have an amazing testimonial from a client, LB, and her quote is, I am the coach to go to when all the other coaches fail. So in other words, my clients, the best clients for me are all the ones who have tried everything and then some. And then that would probably be the best match for someone like me because I am that same person. Everything I had done helped, but in essence failed because I was still suicidal, still depressed, and then suicide attempt. So clearly, based on that evidence and in reality, it wasn't making the biggest difference, clearly, right? So, and that's where you were. So thank God you had gone to all these doctors. Thank God you had tried the best of the best, right? And I do consider,
Right.
yes, I am a healer. I'm an intuitive healer in that intuitively I heal the childhood wounds that are unconscious to us. That is my shtick. That is my niche. That is what I love more than anything. And if it's unconscious, that means we have to together consciously go and find what we aren't able to see. And that is invisible, hidden, in shadow, but I call completely and utterly unconscious to us. And that'll do it. That's my shtick, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And that's what has made the difference in you. We go to the core root of why you are diseased in the first place, and what causes that from an emotional standpoint and a mental standpoint and a brain standpoint, And so, you have a really great example. You say you hardly ever get sick because you have so many good cells, but you were really, we had met a year and a half ago. You're like, Karen, you're the coach for me. And then you weren't able to start your coaching at that time. And you were actually getting worse by the time you circled back, right? And
I was not only was I not getting worse, I was physically dying.
Yes.
I was going into shock so often.
Mm-hmm.
I was very, 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 my body was shutting down.
Yes. And there was a point.
And my spirit.
Yes, before, I have a very rigorous vetting process. This was not one and done where you come into coaching with me. It had been a series of conversations and interviews so that I could make sure I was the best person to facilitate in your healing journey. And right over time. And I there was a point, honestly, where I thought, okay, you know what? And I remember telling you this. I may not be the person. You may need to go into a medical facility. However, make sure it has this, this, and this, and it doesn't have this, this, and this. It's a holistic, purely holistic approach, and they must be doing similar work that I do. You remember having that conversation?
That was quite recently, yes. Yes, absolutely remember that.
Yes. And so, again, another disclaimer. It's not like, okay, I'm it. No, we have to be a match for each other. Okay?
Right.
And this is not for the masses. It is to go back and heal childhood wounds is one of the most painful things we can do.
Most painful.
But it will do it. It will make the difference. There's a direct correlation. It works. It just works. And it gives us, the reinvention.
It's almost like detoxing. So let's say you're going through a detox, whether it's food, alcohol, whatever it may be. You're stopping sugar, going through a detox. You are so sick during that detox.
Yes.
Like for a week or two.
Yes.
You feel disgusting. But afterwards, you feel so much better. And that's kind of like the coaching. So we start out with the process. We're detoxing. We're so much worse. But then after, it's so much better. And but during that time, you're like, I don't even want to do this. I want to quit. This is too hard.
Yes.
Because you have to see yourself for who you are, and you have to say, I have to face my problems head on. And I wasn't ready sometimes. You give me last year, I was not ready to face my problems head on.
That's
I
right.
wanted to run, and I'm a runner.
Yep.
And running, it's almost like you're putting a Band-Aid on a humongous wound. You can't do that because, you can stop the bleeding, but it's not going to get healed unless you actually treat it. There's bacteria that gets in. There's problems and things that get in, and if you don't take it out, you're going to get so much worse, and you're going to ultimately die. Whatever type, it's going to get infected.
Yeah.
And that's not how you do it. You deal, and you clean the wound, and you put alcohol on it, and you try your hardest to make sure that you're staying out of, nasty places while you have a wound. And you heal that before you get back in there. And that's kind of like the process that we've been working on, healing our wounds and ourselves from the inside out and not running and avoiding it. And that's the biggest thing I've learned from working with you is that I have to work on me. Mm-hmm. And it's a day-by-day step. I can't just go, oh, I'm healed the next day, because that's what I want. I don't want to do the work. I want it to come easy. And that's not always the case.
No, it's never the case. It's never. For greatness and extraordinariness and brilliance and genius, that is not the case at all. So, you know what? If people think it's going to be easy, they're kidding themselves. And thank you, but no thank you, right? And I get it, because I was that person. Easy, easy, easy. Because I was the worst person to deal with my crap. But I never gave up. I kept searching, and then I'd run. And I'd search again and run. Oh, my God, I'm the runaway bride. How many marriage proposals? Gotta go. Talk about a runner. I'm sorry, I win the prize. Next to Julia Roberts in her Runaway Bride movie,
Absolutely.
Right? Now, I want to talk about this pain, though. This is like any pain. This is like starting back at the gym after years and years of never working out and having a lot of weight to lose and massive health issues. It is always, darkest before the dawn in terms of even training, going back in sports, they call it Hell Week, where spring training, you got to get back in, and it's like, oh my God, every day you come home, you just want to throw up every day from practice. I know that feeling as an athlete and a dancer. But this pain, the reason why this pain is so great, especially in dealing with ourselves, it goes against everything the human brain cares to do, based on survival. Our brains are programmed way early on in childhood, under the age of 8, with our coping mechanisms in place and our survival mechanisms and tactics in place. We got to go back and understand that, why that is in the first place, and then go back and heal it and reverse it. How painful is that? So these are years and years and decades of pain that was never expressed in childhood. That's why this is so painful and it's so dark at first, is because of the repression, the suppression, the oppression from early on for decades. And that's why most people can't handle it, not because they don't want to, is because there's so much involved to actually endure and persevere. And what we're working for is lifelong sustainability. A big difference with people who just want to fix it, and instant gratification, instant quick fix. No, if you consider sustainability and maintenance, then that's the bigger, grander game in life from my point of view. Hey, that's just my point of view. But whatever, and I want to be dancing and riding horses until the very end. Like, I never want to have the excuse, oh, I can't do that anymore. My body doesn't work. That is worth dying over. That would kill me. That would absolutely kill me. The fountain of youth lies in healing the unconscious wounds. There it is. Okay? And that's what you're saying. That's why this has been so difficult at first, and you weren't ready a year and a half ago. And the reason we do get ready, and we're never really, really ready, but the reason we're more ready than ever is because we have to look backwards and weigh the pain of our life, and that's what will do it. So you came to that point, Rachel, right? You came to the point where you were in it and you couldn't stand it a second longer, which had you go, oh, I have no other choice but to face myself. Isn't that really what happened? Yeah.
That's exactly what happened. Rock bottom is kind of what they call it.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And
completely rock bottom.
Yes, you're at the lowest point. To everything was dying, and your body dying, spirit,
physically, emotionally, spiritually.
Yes, exactly. Spirit dying, like you were almost dead on every realm, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. Okay,
and I remember one time where I had to make a choice. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Am I going to choose to live, or am I going to die on this freeway? Because I know what would have happened. Mm-hmm. I could feel myself going over to not in a weird way, but I could feel what was going to happen if I didn't make that choice. And it took me a good month to actually continue to make that choice, because it just takes once to go into shock and not be able to get back out.
Right.
You know, it takes just once to hit the side of the freeway. You know, there's not that I would never kill myself, like physically, like, you know,
directly.
consciously.
Yeah.
Directly.
Mm-hmm.
But I could put myself into another state of shock. I could create a scenario where I got stung by 5 bees and be dead. You know, so I mean, there's things that you could do to. It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But once I gave up, once I realized I got to make it work, it took about a month in order to fully say, I choose this.
Yes.
I choose to live. I choose to live. I choose to live, not just survive, but actually live. And then retrain the brain. And I could only do that by working with you. I know 100% if I wasn't with you, I would not be here. Like, I know for sure, because I wasn't strong enough to make that change on my own.
Mm-hmm.
I needed somebody to help me through that process. And I needed a nurse or a doctor. Mm-hmm. You know, and kind of you were that nurse that said, or the doctor that said, okay, here's the solution. We're going to do this. But it's up to you to make that choice. You know, it's the same when you're severely overweight. The doctor can come in and say, here's what you need to do, otherwise you're going to die. And they are going to have to be like, well, okay, I'm going to choose to have a little self-control with my food. And I'm going to choose to get to go to the gym. And I'm going to choose to get the lap belt or whatever it is to make a change. But the doctor isn't going to do it for you. You're going to have to sign the papers that say I approve and I accept and I'm making that conscious choice to make a change. Or not. They can just live that way and eventually die very, very early. Yeah. But it's ultimately, you know, the doctor is only there to help, and that's kind of what you did, is kind of just say, I'm here, here's what to do to make a change. I can't do it for you, but I can be here to support you in this journey of your making changes in your life to make you better and to thrive.
Yeah, and only based
like
on
a diabetic.
And what?
Like a diabetic. The doctor says, you're a diabetic, stop eating sugar. If you don't stop eating sugar, you're going to die. Okay, this is you. Rachel, make some changes. If you don't, you're going to die. No difference.
Yeah. And then I had to, another disclaimer, I explained in such a way that you could understand, assimilate, and integrate the information that resonated and made sense to you. And that's what does it.
Right.
Okay, is you can tell people what to do, but if it doesn't make any sense and they can't integrate it and assimilate it, it's not going to make a difference. It's not going to work. It's not going to do anything. It's like, you know,
you're wasting your time.
Yeah, really, seriously. And the whole thing, part of my vetting process is telling people, you know, the stuff, the things that you're going to have trouble with, that you're not going to be able to sustain. Like, I have to make sure it's a win-win proposition. Otherwise, there's nothing in it for any of us. It has to be a win-win proposition. And we have to say we want it consciously and then to continue to show up subconsciously and unconsciously. And that is what'll do it, is keep showing up and showing me the symptoms and signs that you are really committed to the process of truly healing. Because we have the fear of failure and then we cross right on over to the fear of success. And that's a thing, people. It's a thing. And so you hit rock bottom. That's usually what does it. That's what happened to me. I mean, look, I don't need to even tell people. It's just like, look, this is what happened to me. This is what didn't happen to me. This is how miserable I was, and this is what worked. And clearly, I'm better than ever today. And I have witnesses in a court of law. So I don't know. Maybe I can help you, maybe I can't. And if you think I can't help you, then we're not a match. That's all that is. We're not a match. But the one thing I'm sure about is, you know, when people say the same complaint over and over too many times, I'll call them on it. And that's what was happening with you as well.
Of course you will.
Yes, because I know that's effective. It's extremely effective. So let's talk about examples. You know, there were times, and I have this with every client, including myself, that they'll say, oh, I have a sore throat. Oh, your thing was strep throat, right? And tell us that experience. Yes. And then every client will say, I will heal it in virtually one session. But you tell me your experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the most amazing amazing experience. I remember over the last 10 years being in Boston, in my own house, not going out. I have nobody else ever that I knew that had strep throat, ever. And I remember dealing with different people and not sticking up for myself and not speaking my truth. And I remember one day, this girlfriend of mine, she lived in Indiana, and she wound up having strep throat. And I looked at her, and the next day, I had strep throat. And it was the same time where I noticed that, I was having issues with one of the members in our family, and I didn't speak my mind, and I didn't speak my truth. The next day, I had strep throat. There's I was at home. There's no possibility of me contracting it from anybody. None. And this had happened to me 5 different times. It wasn't the first, and it wouldn't be the last. Mm-hmm. And each time that I don't speak my truth, I wind up with strep throat. There's nobody else ever who gets it as a 34-year-old. And it's every time the next day. And now I'm so much better to say, okay, I have a problem with this person. I'm going to tell them how I'm feeling because I don't want to get sick. Because it's not just strep throat. It attacks my glands. It puts me into a state of shock. I get a fever, everything out of nowhere. And when I speak my truth, and then it just usually goes away. And I might need a couple doses of antibiotics, or I might not. And I've done it where I don't need antibiotics.
Okay, but we got to. Yeah, but we got to connect it to you. It was only within our work together, right, that you were able to put that together. And because you would come to me, I have strep throat. And I said, okay, because you're not dealing with your unconscious wounds. So take it from that point of view, right?
So once we said that, and I realized, I didn't realize that. I didn't even put the 2 and 2 together. I could feel, like, even days, weeks after, I could feel like there was another situation where I should have spoken my mind, but I waited a few hours, and I could tell my throat was starting to get sore. And I'm like, that's it. I don't want to get a sore throat. I got to go speak my mind. So it's really come to the point now where I fear strep throat again. So every single time, I'm going to open my mouth to speak my mind, speak my truth.
Right.
In a nice way, because selfishly, I don't want to get sick. And if that's what I'm going to do to prevent it, and I can only do that, I didn't realize through the stuff that we're working on.
Yes.
Was I even strong enough to be able to even see it, number one, and number two, actually do something about it. And I haven't had strep or any type of sore throat since, ever.
Right, but there was actually one session that you brought up strep throat, and it actually was healed within that session. The next day, you never developed strep throat. You had the symptoms coming on.
Yes.
Yes. And we got right to the root cause immediately, knowing it was based on unconscious childhood wounds. And then that was the example. You kind of went the roundabout way, but I remember in our initial conversation, you had brought it up that you had, because I remember saying, my client yesterday morning had the exact same thing. She was sinus issues, and within the session, her sinus issues went away, right? Within that session, that's how fast we can heal ourselves. And you actually had that specific situation in just one of our sessions. I do remember that one. Because yes,
me too.
Yes, you were able.
I should have had it based on the same pattern of programming.
Yes.
I should have gotten strep again. And
yes.
It's very frustrating because it's extremely painful.
Yeah, exactly. And then you did not get strep because, again, we dealt with that's right. We dealt with the root cause. And quite frankly, I am not a fan at all of any additional medication. And anything that I do use is always going to be holistic, essential oils. It's going to be... Now, I mean, there are some medications that we are absolutely necessary. But if we can do it, call me crazy, if we just heal the unconscious and the subconscious wounds consciously, then we don't have to depend on and get addicted to medication and things and addictions to make us feel good and mask the real pain. We can heal it from the core cause, and then life is way easier and breezier, and we don't have to spend our money on medication and all sorts of other things when we could be spending our money on things that we desire and can enjoy, right? How many, like the prescription medication industry, oh my God, are you insane? For as much as you spend on those drugs, you could be driving your Lamborghini, people. And frankly, I'd rather have a Lamborghini, well, my car's a Ferrari, than spend money on things to mask pain and give me a temporary Band-Aid fix. So again, Rachel, this is one of those examples, but again, all my clients experience this. Oh, okay, so I say, beginning of a session, what would you like to talk about right out of the gate? Anything right up front that you'd like to talk about? Well, I'm getting a sick. Because they know, my clients know now, that if there are any physical ailments and illness, we start right with that, because that's your body saying, hey, listen, there's something subconsciously, unconsciously happening here, and let's deal with it. Let's face it. Let's understand it. And sure enough, what follows is the body then heals. We heal the emotional wound. We understand it mentally, intellectually. We combine the two. We put in the spirituality. I work with people. Doesn't matter what your beliefs are, your religion. I'm highly spiritual. We add that factor in, and boom, the next thing that happens is the body heals itself in that order. Every time, all the time. The reason why most people are going to need medication is because they have been well past the discomfort zone. In other words, they have put themselves in such jeopardy that they have to go to medication. You have to do medication. If you go almost to the worst case scenario, that's when that would apply. But why punish ourselves that much? Why do that and feed into self-sabotage? Catch the symptoms earlier so you don't have to go to the worst of the worst remedies of medication. And that's how I see it. Any opinions or views on that, Rachel, from your standpoint?
No, I completely agree 100%.
Yes. Yeah, so we're not saying don't take medication. I just believe the reason why is because we've pushed ourselves to a very critical point. And I'm saying don't do that. This is why super consciousness matters. Consciousness matters. Super consciousness. Evolving ourselves and our consciousness, because then the consciousness helps us to detect the early symptoms so we don't have to go down the worst road. Like, don't do it. Only through crisis are we most motivated to change. And I use the word transform. Let's not bring it to a crisis point, but that's usually what does it. And only because I've lived it. I had to go to crisis point. You had to go to crisis point. I'm just saying there are other options. Like, go to the maybe mini crisis point. That would be better, people. And I say that to myself first and foremost. I'm always speaking to myself first and foremost, and then I'm speaking to everybody else, other humans. Although I do a lot of baby talk with my animals, and that's a whole nother podcast. But
you're so funny.
I know. Oh my God. And they probably think I'm just so cray-cray. But that said, Rachel, thank you for sharing your personal experiences. And I was blown away when I just asked you one simple question and you just went on this whole thing of like brilliance of your experiences, face to face with the best and the brightest, but they were medical and they could not help you. That feeds into hopelessness and helplessness.
Yes.
And that fed in also to you dying even more, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I know that feeling. I know that feeling too well. And I shared on the other podcast about my therapy for 5 years, and I walk in, my sister's dying, I don't know what to do, and I never got the answers. That was so infuriating. I mean, I felt better, most of the time, coming out of the session, but it still didn't give me the answers to handle better her death and then my guilt, and it didn't give me the tools, the communication skills to have her possibly choose to live. But then again, that had to happen, because guess what? I get to do that now with people like you, Rachel, and that's the beautiful blessing in disguise. You see that? That's the gift I got out of that experience.
Right.
Was now I have all those tools and the ability to communicate in such a way that I can give people the option to choose to live and not continue to feed into their slow suicidal process of self-sabotage. Is there anything else you want to add under this topic? Because your experiences help to empower others. So it's all about empowering the listeners, empowering everyone who cares to listen, and through our experiences, because I do believe we are all one. And through our experiences, we are able to transfer wisdom, and one little nugget could help the next person. And that's why you choose to do this, which makes you so amazing and extraordinary and magnificent, radically magnificent, Rachel. So any last words of wisdom?
I would just say, work with Karen.
She's not paid to say this, by the way, people. Another disclaimer.
I am not paid at all to say that, but it's almost like when you find that wonderful product. I'm not into makeup, but a lot of girls are.
I am.
And when they find that one product, they are so excited. They want to share all of it with their friends because, yay, I found this new makeup thing that you have to buy it too. They get really excited about that kind of stuff. It's the same thing.
Yes.
Well, it's actually way better.
Yeah.
But I found something that's not just going on my face. I found something that saved my life, and that to me is way more powerful than makeup.
Yes.
But, I want to tell people, and I want them to experience that type of stuff too, because I love people and I want to make a difference. So, if you're considering, giving up, and don't want to make changes, or want to make changes but don't know how is a better word, I would say, definitely talk to you about it, and see if you guys are a good fit. Because again, you both have to be on the same page. Like any type of a relationship, you both have to be willing to put the work in. And it's worth it. That's all I have to say. It's worth it is the last thing I'm going to say.
Yeah, thank you. And it is worth it because you're worth it. And that's another thing we have to...
I'm worth it. And my kids are worth it. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So, yes, if you want to contact me, please email me, KarenLoveLee@gmail.com. And I will be happy to set up a complimentary consultation, and we will talk about it to see if we are a match, and how I can be the divine messenger and facilitator in owning your genius and your brilliance. And that's what this is really about. That's all I care to do, is empower other beings, which also includes animals, through my own experiences and through energy and the underlying subtext, the goodness underneath the words, that feeling, and that'll do it. In terms of empowering other people, we always can do that without even doing anything extra, is just be the best we can be within ourselves first and foremost. And that's what I say will do it. And then that does project and transfer outward. And Rachel, thank you for being here to do that and to be of service in sharing your personal stories that do really, really help so many people. And I know, because I don't have that same experience, thank goodness, but at the same time, how fortunate that you did have all those experiences of trying all the different other ways to heal yourself that did not do the job, did not work to the nth degree and make that difference. But with that experience, sharing that helps other people who can relate to the same thing. Because like I said, many people come to me and they've tried everything under the sun, and they just weren't getting the solutions, the remedies, and the answers. And so here we are, people, wishing you a healthy, beyond radical health, right? On every level, right. Radical well-being, to be able to, I want to call it the fountain of youth, to be able to be, have, and do everything and anything your heart desires for the rest of your life. And that's what I'm leaving you with today. So thank you all so much for listening. I love you all. And Rachel, you'll be back with us, I'm sure. The one thing we have to say is, Rachel, not only are you talking about being healthier than you've been ever in your life on every level, is that I have witnessed it personally, seeing how physically healthy you have become because you have been doing a lot of physical work and right, with your body. And I have witnessed it personally, and I've seen you in action, and that's where I'm blown away. I get to see you working and doing all sorts of ranch chores right before my eyes. And that's why sometimes I'm like, wow, I know it works, but to see it is like, I can't believe you're the same person. You're unrecognizable. And that's how I know this works. That is transformation, brand new reinvention. You're healthier than ever, doing all sorts of things. And I am a witness in a court of law, and I can attest to that. And it blows me away. I have never seen you twitch, no signs of Tourette's. As you spoke of earlier in the podcast, I've never seen you twitch. As a matter of fact, I've only seen you just go, oh my God, this is a lot of work, I'm tired, but nothing else. I have not witnessed at all any other symptoms. That's mind-blowing, isn't it?
It's very, very mind-blowing.
Yeah. It's like, I can't believe you're the same person, truth be told. Right? Oh.
I am not the same person.
No, and you're not. Exactly.
No.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, that said, thank you all so much. And until next time, may you become a miraculous, magical magnet for your dreams. And it's all there for the taking. And you already have everything you need. And that is needed and required to be a powerful dream magnet. It is all within you, your human brain. So I'm assuming you have a human brain if you're listening, a human brain, right? Your heart, your passion, your spirit, and your soul. And that's already there. So take that and run like the wind with it, and live your life of dreams come true. Thank you all so much.